July 4th, 2015, I lost my 7-year-old cousin, Amari Brown, to gun violence. While he was outside hanging, playing around with other kids on the block, watching fireworks, when someone came on the block and started shooting, and my cousin got hit in the chest. When I heard the news, I didn't want to believe it. My heart dropped. My cousin death led me to pick my senior project on gun violence because there's too much killing going on in the world today. It makes me think, what can we do to stop this violence?
The violence in Chicago, from Chicago to Philadelphia, all major inner cities, is really saddening to me because a lot of the times it's most often black on black crime, or even Puerto Ricans killing other Puerto Ricans, or Mexicans killing other Mexicans. So it makes me real sad to see that, because we should be united together.
Less than 10% of the population of Chicago accounted for almost, a third of all victims of gun violence. And those communities are on the west and south side of Chicago, which historically have been areas that are underinvested in and see high poverty rates and high joblessness rates. What we found in our report of gun violence in 2016 is that while African American males aged 15 to 34 make up approximately 9% of the population of Chicago, they made up 50% of the victims of homicide. While we weren't able to say definitively this led to the increase in gun violence in 2016, what was not lost on any of us was the fact that 764 people were killed last year in Chicago.
The deadly outbreak of gun violence that's been gripping Chicago saw no let-up whatsoever over the Christmas weekend. Police say that they're now investigating 27 shootings that took place either on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day. 12 of them were deadly. Chicago Police Superintendent, or the superintendent, held a news conference just a short time ago, and he called the violence sickening.
I think that violence has a direct relation to the disinvestment in education and to the disinvestment in after-school programs and programming.
In this generation today, a lot of things are different than they were in the past. Now, with all these new websites, it's like everyone lives for social media. People getting into it on social media results in people getting killed in real life. Maybe if people in my generation didn't take media so serious, there would be less of violence going on. The music that's been played today can also be the cause of some of the violence too.
I think a lot of the new drill music that's coming out, it has a lot of the lyrics and beats to the music.
I say I ain't heard that. I was smoking loud as loud, but I'm always read that. You be smoking on that shit that give you a head. Ooh, come here. You come here. Ooh, come here. Pistol to you.
If it's a Friday or Saturday night and a bunch of guys are driving around or hanging out and they're listening to this music and they're under the influence of weed and alcohol, it's gonna pump them up and make them want to do something that the songs and the lyrics that they're listening to are kind of encouraging them to do.
For the first time, a rapper arrested in a violent home invasion. Only NBC4 captured this takedown. Brought it to you live on the news at 5.
Guiding a lot of the young men who hang out on the corner and who are often selling drugs or may have a gun on them, and try to tell them, if you need help, we're here. We can help you and guide you to better resources.
So the University of Chicago Crime Lab, in addition to studying the root causes of gun violence, also are interested in evaluating programs that may alleviate or reduce violence.
How can we better help those people who are struggling? How can we get them the resources that they need? So we try to act as a connector and guide them to resources that will help them overcome what they're facing.
One program in particular has been studied by our lab over the years. It's called Becoming a Man. It's run by Youth Guidance. The program uses cognitive behavioral therapy to try to slow down impulsive thinking or actions that we believe might contribute to gun violence. Behavioral therapy is trying to rechannel that and encourage people to slow down when they're faced in such high stress situations, and instead of reacting quite extremely with a gun and potentially shooting someone, slowing down the process and identifying a way that youth might work through conflict in different and more peaceful ways.
A lot of times we can hand out resources at the corner and give them a flyer for a hiring fair, but they won't go to that job fair if they don't have the self-confidence, if they don't have proper clothes, or if they don't even have bus fare. So we really try to get them what they need in order to be successful. The top 3 things the city of Chicago could do to decrease the violence would be to have proper investment in our public schools, and second would be reinvesting in our mental health clinics, and the third would be for after-school programming and summer jobs. I believe there's no one simple solution to stopping the violence in Chicago. It has to start with our politicians caring about those people living in these communities and putting into place policies that will benefit those who are hurting the most. It also starts with those in the communities to stand together and to unite and be a voice for themselves.
But there's so much killing going on today, I don't think it's a way to stop the violence, because there are too many guns on the streets and people can find any ways to get hold of a gun. And trying to put more police on the streets not going to decrease the rate of violence, because police are out here killing people too.